Counting blessings, learning lesson got me feeling special. Spending money, mama said, hope the Lord bless you. Everything I ever wanted, had to pray for. Anything I did wrong, had to pay for. I'll do it all again just to make you smile. Welcome back, welcome back. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all now, man. God don't play. Trust me, he don't play. Now, y'all be thinking, oh, you do dirt, you get dirt, and that's that. Nah, that's karma, what some people call it. But what it really means, God don't play. Now, you got away with stealing. They ain't see you steal it out the store, so you wasn't arrested, you know? And you went home, bragging to your friends, I got away with it, I got away with it. Whole time, you ain't get away with it. The store clerk ain't see it. Other employees, they didn't see it. Police ain't even see it. And you didn't get caught. So you thought you got away with it. Whole time, God seen it. And let's say 7 months later, you get in trouble for stealing something that you didn't steal. And you wonder, like, why am I going through this? I didn't do it. Why I gotta go to jail or get in trouble for stealing something I didn't steal? Well, like I say, some people would call it karma, but God's saying it. And God don't play. That's why you gotta live right, righteous, good. Because everybody think they get away with stuff, but it's only a matter of time. Because God's saying it, and God don't play. So let me show you how much God don't play. Now, we're gonna go back to Adam and Eve. Now, God said you can touch any tree, flower, whatever. You can eat off anything, but don't touch this one tree. So the serpent, the snake, the devil said, touch the tree. And he got an Eve head. And she bit an apple off this tree. Then the world changed. People was able to sin. Now, let's go to another time where God don't play. So, we're going to go to Moses. I told y'all last video we're going to talk about Moses on this one. So, Pharaoh had a bunch of slaves, and God told Moses to tell Pharaoh, let his people go. Pharaoh disobedient, wasn't trying to hear it, you know. He ain't had no respect for Moses. He ain't had no respect for God. So Moses kept saying, let the people go. And Pharaoh, he made it harder on the slaves, you know, just to show Moses that he wasn't going to listen to him or nobody. But God don't play. So he told Moses to tell him again. And Pharaoh, he wasn't trying to hear it. So God put plagues out there. Pharaoh still wasn't trying to hear it. Moses kept telling him, God said, let my people go. Pharaoh wasn't listening. God showed his hand again and again. Pharaoh still wasn't listening. Then he lost his son. Why? Because he didn't listen to Moses, who was a messenger from the Most High. And God don't play. So Pharaoh was crushed. He was crushed. He lost his son or whatever. But Moses eventually was able to get the slaves away. And this time, they was going away from Pharaoh. And Pharaoh wasn't having it. Him and his soldiers hunted them down. And they got to the Red Sea. And God don't play. God split the Red Sea so they can cross. And Pharaoh and them still chasing them through the Red Sea while it's open. And Moses kept pushing. Pharaoh and them, they getting closer to try to take the slaves back. But once Moses and the slaves got to the end, Pharaoh and them still was behind them, and the Red Sea was parted. So all of a sudden, the sea came back together over top of Pharaoh and his men, and that was the end of them. So like I say, God don't play. So y'all want to get to God, get your life to God before it's too late. Because if you come to God first, your life will be better. But don't make it to where God got to come to you. Because by that time, it's too late. Now, let's go to another one. We're going to go to Samson. Samson was very strong. And God gave him the strength to overcome all men. But by him having that strength, there's always rules. So the rule was he couldn't cut his hair. Now, his enemies didn't know that. So they wanted to know, how is he so strong? How he keep defeating us? So what he do? He found a female. Like how the serpent went for Eve. So he found a female named Delilah and told her, do an investigation, basically. See where Samson getting all his power from. Delilah, she kind of caught feelings for Samson, but she still was paid to do her mission. So eventually, she got it out of Samson, where you get your power from. Samson being so proud, he told her it was from his hair. He was never supposed to cut his hair or he's going to lose his powers. So she told the people who paid her, and she cut his hair while he was asleep. And they was able to defeat Samson. But he asked God, give him one more time. I mean, They did everything but kill Samson. They even cut his eyes out so he couldn't see. But he prayed to God, man. He asked God, can they give me the strength one more time? And God granted him the strength one more time. So he took the pillars that was holding him and he was able to knock them down and crush his enemies. But we also got another one. We're going to go to King David. And remember, God don't play. So Saul was the king. He was anointed. And doing this thing, defeating a lot of enemies and having wars, having battles. But Saul, he started getting cocky. And God told him to get this one king and take him down. But he wanted to show off. So he took the king, chained him up, and wanted to embarrass him in front of his kingdom. And that's not what God told him to do. So at this point, God was getting tired of it. And God don't play. So God let the demons get in Saul's mind, and Samuel was told to anoint somebody else. Now, Samuel had a lot of love for King Saul, but God said, anoint somebody else. He was done with Saul. You know, he was tired of him. Saul was changing. He wasn't obeying the Lord how he used to. And he started letting his king and his kingdom get to his head. So Samuel appointed somebody else to be king, and that was King David. So later on, another king had, let's say he had, we're going to say beef with King Saul because he thought he killed his mother, but it was an assassin. But he told the giant, which is Goliath, I know y'all know about Goliath, that Saul killed his mom, but really the assassin did. So he was able to get in Goliath's head because Goliath's mother told the other king that the only way her sons will fight with him and for him if he took the kingdom and gave it to Goliath, because her sons was considered gods. And the assassin killed his mom and got in his head and said King Saul did it. So Goliath believed him and said, you know, well, my mom is gone and I believe Saul did it. So I'm going to fight with you and for you. So we go back to King David. Just before he was king, but he was already anointed to be king. He told his brothers that he will fight Goliath. His brothers wasn't trying to hear it. So he got past his brothers because he would play music for the king. So he went to the king and said, since nobody else will fight Goliath, I'll fight him. His brothers wasn't trying to hear that, but as he fighting Goliath, he was hit by a spear from Goliath, but Samuel appeared on a mountain behind him, and asked God to give King David the heart of Moses and the strength of Samson. Now, y'all know King David, he was good with the slingshot. He was practicing for years. He defeated a bear, defeated a lion, and he already had heart. But Samuel asked God to give him the heart of Moses and the strength of Samson. So God was already done with the former king. So he let him have the strength of Samson. So with the skills of his slingshot and the strength of Samson, he took the slingshot and threw it at Goliath and unalived Goliath. Now, that's the story of King David. And God don't play. So he wasn't having Goliath defeating David, even though the size difference was, I'll say this Goliath, this was David, didn't even look like he would be able to defeat a giant, but he did, and he ruled later. But it just goes to show you God don't play. So don't think you got away with something. Always live good, because you doing bad or you doing dirt, it's going to catch up with you. You think, oh, just because you didn't get arrested, or your parents ain't catch you, or you in school, the teacher ain't catch you, or the principal didn't catch you, and you wonder why bad stuff happened later. It's because God's seen it, and God don't play. So it don't cost nothing to live good. You know, always follow the 10 Commandments. So just for y'all out here in the streets, one of the main commandments is thou shalt not kill. Now y'all out here in these gangs and doing the work of the devil, and you don't understand thou shalt not kill. So you're not going to live perfect, but try your best not to keep sinning, because I would hate for you to see the wrath of the Most High. And like I say, God don't play. So I remember when I was just a little, a little child running wild, basically, way before I was saved. So I always believed in the Most High. When I was young, I didn't believe in Satan. But as you get deeper into the word, you understand that it's real. And it was a time where, let's say, I took something from someone, got away with it, and thought just because the police ain't catch me, or any other authority didn't catch me, that I got away with it. But I say within that same year, the thing that I took from someone was stolen from me. And that's what you would say, well, some people would say that's karma, but no, that's just an example of God seen it. Even if nobody else seen it, God seen it, and God don't play. So you do dirt, you get dirt. That's what a lot of people say. Or karma will catch up with you. What's karma? Karma is an example of God saying it, and God don't play. So you ain't get away with it. It's just a matter of time before what goes around comes around. But really it's just God saying it, and you know better. You know it was wrong. So just because the eyes of somebody else ain't see it, the eyes of God seen it. So do right. Like I said, it costs you nothing to do right. It costs you nothing to live right. Don't sin and follow the 10 Commandments, because when it's time for you to be judged, you want to be able to go through them pearly gates. You don't want to be stopped at the gates and say, no, not you, because no, not you, that means eternal fire. Might as well just take that summer heat, turn it up to 100, because that's what you're going to be going through. So you rather make it to heaven. But that's all I got for y'all today. And remember, God don't play. But until next time, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. But always stay blessed, stay safe. Peace.